Good afternoon, and welcome to BBC Two.
Hello and welcome to Back to the 80s, the podcast that travels back through time in a rose-tinted DeLorean. As always, it is me, Glenn, aka Cymru Nerd Cave, coming at you for another episode 324, to be absolutely accurate about it. And we have a special guest, one that we haven't had, I don't think ever. I've been on his podcast about 3 or 4 times now, which is stupidly ridiculous. He keeps having me back. The Fool! But, yeah, this is the first time he's been on. It is, of course, now let me get this right, because I have 2 friends in 2 different podcasts that sound pretty much the same. This is from Smorgasbored. It is, of course, your friend of mine, Mr. Pete Gaskell.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am good, thank you, and well done for pronouncing smorgasbord correctly as well. I've heard so many different pronunciations of it, it's unbelievable, so yeah.
Well, we've got, obviously, Andy from Smorgasbod.
Smorgasbod, yes.
And he does know about you guys as well. So apparently he's a big fan of your podcast as well. So it's like, Smorgasbod. I thought, don't say Smorgasbod. And I didn't. So there you go. I pronounced it correctly. How are you?
I am good. I am excessively tired. But so this sort of very slurry, bored voice is not quite normal for me. Normally I'm a little bit more hyperactive and annoying. So you're putting with tired but more understandable me, I think, for your show. Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So we'll decide over the course of the episode, I think.
Here's hoping. It does seem to have been a bit of a long week, the long cold week as well. Everyone seems to be very cold at the moment. But we are in the depths of winter, so really that's not too surprising. We shall talk about what you're going to talk about in a little while, but first we'll do what we always do at this point and ask you how your week's been, what you've been up to this week.
Well, I've just started a new job this week, so that's been part of the reason why I'm excessively tired, because I had so much to do. So I've been into that wonderful cycle most evenings of commuting home, having the dreaded nap, and then waking up having no idea where I am, and then having about an hour's time before going to bed. So luckily, in that slight niche, I've been able to fit in this. So that's good.
Brilliant stuff. As for my week, work mainly. Lots of boning up on the Third Doctor, which sounds ruder than it should do. But Nova Beacon this week is going to be all about the Third Doctor, so I've been sort of watching as much as I possibly can, because I've got a lot more Third Doctor stuff than I do Second Doctor stuff, so it's a bit easier. So getting in loads of interviews, getting in loads of sort of documentary stuff on the DVDs, watching Claws of Axos and the Demons, awful stuff that you shouldn't have to do, just the worst.
I'm very much hoping you'll be speaking Delphon on the podcast, Glenn. That's something I just thought would be interesting.
Yeah, that'll work. On an audio podcast.
Exactly.
Oddly enough, that does come up in the Big Finish had done the Third Doctor Adventures.
Who is it who voices the Third Doctor now? 'Cause it's not Sean Pertwee, which originally I thought that's what we'd go with, but it's someone else.
No, it's... Oh, my God. What's his name? Hang on a second. I shall look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. They have been getting... obviously, Katie Manning's come back and done Joe Grant as well, which is brilliant. Let's have a look. Third Doctor. Tim something it is. Tim something. I'm no good with names. That's the problem. Hang on a second. Tim Treloar.
Yes.
His name is. He's a Welsh guy. He's from North Wales.
Oh, there you go. Representing.
And you can tell from the first set of Third Doctor Adventures to the ones that Volume 3, it's coming on to Volume 4, coming out soon. And you can see he's getting better at the voices each set of adventures. Because he said he's not trying to do a John Pertwee impression, he's trying to do the Third Doctor. Which is obviously, kind of the same but different.
Yeah.
I think, rather than just to try and do a straight up John Pertwee impression, just try and be as doctorish as you can be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it will be helped by the script, because the script will be written with Pertwee in mind, so you don't have to add sort of Pertwee-esque affectations, I assume.
Yeah, exactly, and you're getting people who have either sort of worked on Third Doctor adventure stuff before, and obviously somebody who worked on Doctor Who before, Andrew Smith, who wrote things like Full Circle, and was the youngest writer of the classic era. So he's come back and he does quite a few things for Big Finish now.
I'm just thinking, actually, Pertwee's probably the trickiest, along with possibly Troughton, for them to record, because obviously we've got everyone from Tom Baker onwards up to David Tennant, minus obviously Chris Eccleston for reasons best known to himself. But so they've all got them, and of course we've got David Bradley taking on the role of the First Doctor again, haven't they, for the audios? But finding Troughton and Pertwee people is a bit more difficult.
Well, Troughton is usually done by Fraser Hines.
Fraser Hines, exactly, yeah. And
he's
an incredible job. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good at doing it.
The strange thing is hearing him not in his Jamie voice, just in his narration voice, which is again very different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's even weirder for me because I know him primarily as Joe Sugden.
Yeah, from Emmerdale, where he brought a Yorkshire accent, didn't he?
Yeah. Which is his proper accent, I think. It's his general accent, which is... So I knew him as Joe Sugden for years before he became, in my head, Jamie McCrimmon. But no, he's very good at doing... he does a Troughton impression. It's as simple as that. But Treloar does more of a Third Doctor thing, and like I say, he's getting a lot better. Like I say, Volume 4's coming out soon. I'm quite excited about because he meets the Cybermen, which
Pertwee never did, of course.
He never did it in reality. And also Rufus Hound comes back as the monk as well. Which is really, really cool because Rufus Hound, big, massive Doctor Who fan. And he's been in Doctor Who, the actual series, and he's been in loads of the Big Finish. He is generally considered to be the monk these days.
Which is fantastic.
Well, it's good. I like the fact that Big Finish has sort of gone their own way with certain characters, like Alex McQueen in Big Finish. Oh, yes. Is
very
master.
Sort of Fey master, isn't he? The Eighth Doctor's master, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously you got Beavers as Geoffrey Beavers comes back as the Fourth Doctors.
Yeah.
And you've got Mark Gatiss in the Unbound stuff as the Master in the Unbound. David Warner's Master, which is awesome.
David Warner's Doctor.
Sorry, David Warner. Yeah, no, he's David Warner's Master. He's the one that would be.
And obviously Derek Jacobi back as Yana Master, haven't they? For the War Master, as they're calling him now.
Which is great, because you've got the War Doctor, and now you've got the War Master as well. It's
like we've lost John Hurt, so that's unfortunate, but then we've also been able to bring out something from a similar sort of chronological period, but we've brought in another Knight of the Realm in Derek Jacobi to add his take on, well, his spin on the Time War, isn't it? So it's not a bad replacement to bring in Derek Jacobi, is it?
Yeah, Derek Jacobi. No, he's definitely a second stringer. Knight of the Realm, very famous actor. They've done quite well there. They've got James Dreyfus as well as the Master for the First Doctor now. And he was really good as well in the Destination Wars. So, Big Finish doing very well. But the Third Doctor is what I've been sort of focusing on at the moment, so we can really do him justice on Sunday. So me and Lee will be recording that, and it'll go out. But other than that, it's been a bit of a busy week at work. So again, like you, I've been coming home sort of dead tired and sort of dropping, and then just like, bleh.
Yeah, exactly that noise as well, yeah.
Oh yes, that one as you get on the bed, bleh.
Wake up in a patch of drool and think, oh no, this is terrible.
Exactly. And what am I doing with my life? But there you go. Never mind. We shall have a break, I think, and then we'll go on to what we are here to talk about, which you will introduce in just a moment. But we'll go with some adverts. They are from CITV, so Children's ITV, on the 7th of February 1989, so right at the back end of the 80s. And yeah, there's some adverts in there that you wouldn't see now, basically. We'll go on about those in just a second. The first advert you probably would see now on children's TV. It's for Tartar Control Crest, because, cleaning your teeth, gotta do that. And, I don't think anybody's tartar has ever been as bad as the stuff in the advert, though.
It's absolutely terrifying, you have to admit.
It made me want to be a dentist, if I'm being honest with you. I was just like, sort of, yes, let me at it. It's like the pimple popping videos on YouTube, just let me at them. I'll do it. It's fine. But yeah, it's horrendous. If you go and watch the YouTube video of it, it's just the biggest load of tartar. You wouldn't be able to close your mouth, basically. Moving on to something that would probably cause tartar, and you wouldn't see this on kids' television anymore. It's for Milky Bar, and it's back when they had the Milky Bar kid in the jungle, because he couldn't just be a cowboy. He had to be in the jungle as well. Weird.
Strangest Tarzan yell via the Milky Bar Kid mixture there, wasn't there?
Yeah, a bit weird, Milky Bar Kid, I always thought, but
Yeah.
They all grew up into actors, most of them. So, not ones that you'd know, obviously. They're more background performers, shall we say. But, you wouldn't see this on kids' TV now because it's about sugary food, and they're illegal, over here during kids' TV. They're that and junk food, basically. You're not allowed to see them. This would put the next advert out as well, because it's for Kellogg's Frosties, and it's the one where SeaWorld or Sealand, a fire at Sealand. At Sea Parks, that's it. That's all I could think of. A fire at Sea Parks. But yeah,
and
Kellogg's Frosties.
You have to say that in an Irish accent as well. You have to do the Chris O'Dowd voice.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because it doesn't work otherwise.
No.
It just sounds like a fire at Sea Park.
Yeah. It's like every time you say, you turn it off and on again, you have to say it in an Irish accent, even a bad one, like I was attempted there. But if you say it in an English accent, it just sounds boring. It doesn't have the same nuance.
Exactly, it's like damp squid.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Kellogg's Frosties, no way would you see that on kids' TV these days, because they are the most pointless cereal ever. They're just literally cornflakes with sugar on them. It's frosted sugar.
I don't know. Well, Sultana Bran. It's like Bran is the most horrible cereal you could ever give a kid. So we're going to brighten it up with some Sultanas.
Sultana Bran shouldn't ever be given to a kid.
I had to suffer through Sultana Bran, by the way,
really?
when I was young. Yeah.
I would never give a kid Sultana Bran.
Until I discovered the joys of Weetabix. I was a Sultana Bran kid, and yeah, I was regular. Put it that way.
That's literally a recipe for disaster. Like All Bran. Did he do All Bran? You know, the matchstick Bran?
I think All Bran's still going. I don't know anyone who eats it, because I think it's sort of like sawdust, isn't it? But
I used to have a boss who ate it every lunchtime, and it's very sweet. You never used the toilet after she'd been, because she was again quite regular, but not good. But yeah, that's all I can think of when I think of All Bran. It's just disgusting. It's a tool. It's not a cereal. It's medicine. It's not good. But anyway, Frosties, you would not see that on kids' TV these days. The next one you probably would. Speaking of All Bran, Brecky's cat food. Again, do they still do Breckies? I know they do like Kitty Cat and Whiskers and stuff, but I don't think they do Breckies anymore.
No.
But anyways, it's dry cat food. It's biscuits, so it's not the most interesting product. And then we have a trailer for a program I just do not remember. Young Charlie Chaplin. And I should remember it because it's got one of my heroes in it in the form of Ian McShane. True,
but it does look utterly terrible.
Oh, it looks tedious.
Awful.
It looks so boring. Who cares about Charlie?
It sort of looks like someone had watched young Sherlock Holmes and thought, we will do that, but make it rubbish.
Well, we'll do that, but about the most boring man in the world.
who happens to be one of the funniest men of all time.
Debatable.
Well, his films
Debatable.
Oh.
I'm very much with Captain E. Blackadder on the subject of Charlie Chaplin films. Please stop.
Yes.
No, I'm not a fan. I'm not a Buster
Everyone's
guy.
wrong about something.
We'll agree to disagree on that one. I'm more of a Buster Keaton kind of guy, but I don't want to see a program about young Charlie Chaplin unless Ian McShane goes into full I'll swearingen mode off Deadwood. Calls Charlie Chaplin a cunt or something like that, you know? I don't think that would be on at 4:45 on a Thursday.
No.
Sadly.
It's character building.
Exactly. But yes, young Charlie Chaplin. I do intend to check it out on YouTube. I don't intend to put it up on the Back to the 80s page at any time. I don't think I put it.
I love it now if someone comes onto a show and says, I think we will talk about this.
We're going to do a full podcast on young Charlie Chaplin. It's going to be for 52 weeks and we're just going to talk about every episode in detail.
Yeah, I think if you're a fan of young Charlie Chaplin, get in touch with Gwen immediately because I think he's chomping at the bit on this one.
Are there any young Charlie Chaplin? Has anybody heard of it in the last 30 years? I want to know. I must know. If you've ever heard of it, please do write in. I've done a postcard. But there you are. Anyway, for this week, we shall be back in a couple of minutes to talk about something cool. Bye-bye for now.
Stay with us. Thundercats will be back after this.
If tartar built up on the teeth of a fork, you'd never allow it in your mouth. But you let tartar build up on your teeth, it's a breeding ground for bacteria, so your dentist has to scrape it away. But now, there's new, improved Tartar Control Crest, clinically proven to be more effective at reducing the rate of tartar buildup. New Tartar Control Crest, now more effective to help keep teeth tartar-free.
In a jungle glade light years away, the Milky Bar band come home from play. When out jumps Zang, the Lizard King, his blaster packs a mighty sting.
The Milky Bar Kid.
The Milky Bar Kid is tough and strong. The Milky Bar Kid just must go home. Creamiest milk, the whitest fog.
The Milky Bar's on me!
Sure, the dolphins aren't bad either.
2 volunteers, please. The little boy and the cuddly tiger.
Cuddly? I'll show them. Oh, that's a pretty big dolphin.
That's a killer whale!
Yikes!
The secret formula in Kellogg's Frosties turns a good breakfast into a
great
breakfast.
Okay.
Sure, I had a whale of a time.
Kellogg's Frosties bring out the tiger in you.
And you.
There we are.
These new improved recipe brekkies are crunchier and tastier. Just right before a spot of climbing. But I can't resist popping back, 'cause they're so much meatier. And after a lie down, I like a quick jog along the wall, then home, 'cause it's nice to be in when she gets back.
You lazy old thing. You know, you really should get out more often.
New brekkies. More meat, more crunch, more taste.
On Wednesday afternoons at 4:45, the story of young Charlie Chaplin. Moments of drama.
Hello, Charlie. Had a good day?
Moments of fear. But never a shortage of fun as we look at the childhood of the legendary movie tramp.
Where did you learn to be a actor, then? Not from your old man, that's for sure.
Follow the fascinating story of young Charlie Chaplin on Wednesday afternoons at 4:45.
And now, back to Thundercats.
And we are back. Hope you enjoyed those ads as much as we did. Now, Pete.
Yes.
You are here to talk about something that you've chosen, which is the format we sort of do these days. What is it that you've chosen?
I've chosen to take a break from all my worries, basically. And I could just say the whole thing, but I'm not going to because that's obvious and tedious. And this show certainly wasn't. It's, that perennial American sitcom, at least until Friends came out, which is Cheers.
Yes, Cheers. Very, very long. It's one of those American sitcoms like MASH, like Friends, like Frasier. That came after it.
Cool.
Very long running. So they got a lot of character stuff in there.
Yeah, and it just seems to be just on at any time of day. When I first started watching Channel 4, it always used to be on around in the morning time and then around lunchtime. And then the evening was when it was aired the new episodes. So it could have been on like up to 3 times a day on a terrestrial channel, which is ridiculous in this day and age, but there you go.
And obviously over here it was on Channel 4. In America it was on NBC, but it was actually CBS who made it, which is very strange. You probably wouldn't see that these days. But yeah, it's run on NBC from September the 30th, 1982 to May the 20th, 1993. So just shy of 11 years. With a total of 275 half-hour episodes. Yeah. That's not bad, is it?
It's not bad at all. Was it the longest running? No, it wouldn't have been the longest running American sitcom, would it? I mean, obviously, you have to count The Simpsons. If you count The Simpsons, and other than that,
it's up there.
Cheers, along with Frasier, it also ran for 11 seasons as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I think MASH ran for slightly
longer. MASH ran for 11 as well, I think.
Yeah, Friends was 10. I think Big Bang Theory is coming close, because that was been on since 2007. Regardless of whether people like it or not, it's very long running.
Wow. It's got a very vehement fan base of people who I know no one of, which is terrible grammar for English, but we'll go with it.
I don't mind it. If it's on, I'll watch it. But yeah, it's very, very long running. And because it's one of those shows where, because of where it's set, there's a lot of scope.
Yeah.
And it was mainly character based rather than location based, as it were. So it's set in a bar, in Boston, Massachusetts. By the way, hello, New England Patriots fans. Hope you're having a good week. Go Philly! Fly, Eagles, fly. That was a good night. Anyway.
It was a great match as well, actually. It's a great game.
Bloody brilliant it was as well. Nail biting at the time, I'm not going to lie. My nerves were shredded. I was watching it as a neutral who didn't care, but also clearly wanted the Eagles to win. Well, most people did. But never mind. So hello people in Boston, sorry about your damn luck. So it's set in a bar called Cheers, where a group of locals meet to drink, relax and socialise, and it's about them. It's about their lives and their interactions. So what is it about Cheers that you love so much? Why did you want to talk about it today,
I think it's one of those shows, as you've already intimated there, Glenn, it's one of those shows that you can put on at any time, and you can just sit down, watch a 25-minute show, and come out the other end and think, I enjoyed that. And it's not the most rib-tickling comedy ever made, but it's one of the most, for me, one of the best series to ever give you that sort of warm feeling inside, like it's like a sitcom version of Ready Breck, if you get my drift. I mean, you go into it a bit, maybe I've had a bit of a crummy day, and you're like, oh, let's put something on it, it's going to cheer me up a bit, and you come out of it with you and think, I feel sufficiently cheered up. Or if you're not, then you can watch the next episode, and by then you certainly will be, because
I think the industry name for it is actually a warm bath sitcom. Mm-hmm. That's what they call them.
Yeah.
And yeah, obviously you've got things like Friends in there as well.
Yeah.
Things like the Goldbergs now, which I would say is probably one of those.
Modern Family, I would say, is the closest as well now, I think.
Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond.
Yeah.
King of Queens, that kind of thing. And over here you got things, I suppose, like Only Fools and Horses would be the closest thing we've got to something
there's not really anything like that these days. I think the last ones would have been like the sort of Graham Linehan ones, like your IT Crowd, your Father Ted's, Black Books to an extent.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with those. But you've got things like in the 80s, like The Two of Us as well, that kind of thing, where you don't have to engage brain, and he's never going to be that bad. It's never going to be serious. And Cheers is exactly like that.
You know what I think actually is probably the closest to? It's the old Perry and Croft sitcoms, your Dad's Army, Heidi High, that sort of thing, where you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get 25 minutes, have a good old jolly, and then go about the rest of your day. And I think, it sounds like I'm damning it with faint praise to an extent. It's like, it's not the best sitcom ever made, and it isn't. But it's
up there.
It's brilliant at what it does, which is delivers exactly what it says on the tin. I mean, it gives you a 25-minute burst of pure warmth and heart and fun. And yeah, sometimes that's all you need. But it's powered by the characters, like you say, the setting. It's a stage play. I think, if memory serves, in series 1, they never left the bar at all. Ever.
Yeah, I think
the series is set in the bar.
Series 2, they went to Diane's flat.
Yeah, in episode 1 of series 2, they went to Diane's flat for the first time, and that's like the first time he ever went anywhere other than the bar.
And very rarely did they ever go anywhere but the bar.
As the series rolled on, they went bigger as it goes on. And ideas start to dry up a bit of how much you can do within a very confined setting. So, I mean, it's like Cliff goes on Jeopardy and stuff like that. It's a brilliant episode, but it's also a bit away from where it started, which was obviously, I say, it's a stage play. It's basically one set as well. I mean, you've got the big bar with like Sam's office and the pool room, and that's it, isn't it? There's nothing else you see.
Well, as they used to say, Cheers is filmed before a live studio
audience. Yeah, said before every single episode, of course.
Which you never get anymore, which is a shame. I think you should totally get that, because you say Happy Days is filmed before a live studio audience.
But not many comedies are actually filmed before a live studio audience these days anyway, are they?
More than you think, oddly enough. More than you would think. I know things like Big Bang is.
It's Big Bang Theory. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is.
I know How I Met Your Mother wasn't, because of all the time jumpy stuff. They couldn't really make it work and make it flow, so that wasn't.
That wasn't. Goldberg's isn't, because it's multi-camera. But Big Bang is definitely, and Cheers was, Happy Days was.
Yeah, all the classic, I'm saying now, in inverted commas, the ones like Friends, Frasier, they were all filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Yep.
It doesn't sound anywhere near as cool as when it does when Ted Danson says it, to be honest. But
well, to be fair, nothing sounds as cool as when Ted Danson says it.
Exactly. Ted Danson is the man, and still is, of course. that's actually just a slight aside before we get into anything else. What made me think about it was obviously I have Ted Danson's all over the place because he's in The Good Place, which is on Netflix over here. I don't know what channel it's on in America, but. And he's fantastic in that. And spoilers if anyone's not seen it, in the series 2 finale, he ends up behind a bar with a towel slung over his shoulder. And I actually just beamed and almost, I may have wept off my sofa a tiny amount. And my girlfriend said, that's entirely because, he's doing Sam Malone, isn't he? I was like, yep. And I have no shame in that at all. And I think I was lost the rest of the episode. I was just in my own personal happy place. It's probably quite like Cheers, in all honesty.
Yeah, probably. We'll get into the characters.
Yeah.
You've got, obviously, the aforementioned Ted Danson does play Sam Malone. He's a bartender. He's the owner of Cheers as well. A bit of a ladies' man. He used to be an alcoholic as well. He's now a recovering alcoholic.
One of the best
in a bar.
Just interrupting you a little bit there, Glenn. Sorry. It's just about becoming an alcoholic. One of the most succinct and brilliant lines I've heard in anything was when I think it might even have been in the pilot. It's certainly early on when they say, "Why did you quit baseball?" And he said, "I developed an elbow problem. I bent it too much." I love that. In fact, I say that now, so there you go.
Well, yeah, as you said, he used to be a baseball relief pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, nicknamed Mayday Malone. He has an on-again, off-again relationship with Diane, in the first 5 seasons. Diane James, played by the brilliant Shelley Long. She's great in that. And when he's not going out with her, he has flings with, not so bright women, shall we say. But, they are always very good looking women that he has off his arm. Anyone like an intellectual, he has no chance with because he's not so bright himself. Diane was written out of the series because Shelley Long went to conquer Hollywood, which she did, and then he tried to pursue Rebecca Howe, played by Kirstie Alley. Well, that kind of went nowhere, basically.
Yeah. It didn't have quite the same narrative thrust as it did when it was with Diane, because we knew exactly where we were going with that. At least originally.
I think the chemistry wasn't there as well.
I mean, Kirstie Alley's terrific. I think she's terrific, but it's not got the same...
No, but it wasn't the same pizzazz.
No.
I think. There was chemistry with Shelley Long and Ted Danson, and it just wasn't there. So I think they just sort of left it in the end and just said, let's not.
It just sort of spun out into a few different directions. It was, because that's the brilliance of, particularly like the first couple of seasons in particular, you know exactly where it's going. It's, were there story arcs in sitcoms before this? Because you could actually say there were here. Because series 1 is all about Sam and Diane, they're sort of will they, won't they, as it were, and they end up together at the end of series 1. And then series 2 is they're starting brilliantly and it ends up with them breaking up, which is a wonderful downward spiral of a relationship. And I thought that was beautiful how they got that. So series 1 was all building up, series 2 to come down.
And then copied loads as well.
Yeah. I don't know if it was actually done in that amount of depth before Cheers.
No, it wasn't. In fact, the creators have often said that, you know, that they kind of do feel bad about introducing that sort of series arc into sitcoms, because you can't these days have just single episode sitcom, nothing ever happens. I suppose you can. There are, I mean, the Goldbergs is pretty much like that. It doesn't have a story arc running through it, aside from the 80s. But nothing really, you know, they are pretty much singular episodes. You don't have to watch them in order to get anything out of them. Whereas with things like The Big Bang Theory, you kind of have to.
But I still think with Cheers, you don't need to. I mean, it helps if you just sort of like pick up series 1 and series 2 and binge through them. You can see the rise and fall, as it were.
Yeah.
Or you can still just pick out an episode and you get into it immediately because it isn't so tethered.
I mean, it's the same with things like Friends.
Exactly.
Although there was a loose thread running through all the Friends series, I think Friends is definitely the epitome of the warm, you know, like Cheers is the epitome of the warm bath, because you can stick any episode of that, you could probably mouth along to it.
Yeah. I think Friends in many ways is the Cheers of the 90s, wasn't it? It basically copied not copy, because that sounds like they just ripped it off. They didn't. Obviously, it's a different thing. But you could see it was definitely influenced by Cheers to a huge degree. And it works.
Absolutely.
And our friends as well.
Absolutely. But yeah, there we go. So obviously you got Sam, you got Diane, as we said. Diane was Sam's complete polar opposite. She's academic, she's sophisticated. She attended Boston University. She's very, very smart and, you know, sophisticated. Everything that Sam isn't. In the pilot, she is abandoned by her fiancé, so she didn't have a job, she didn't have a man, she didn't have any money, so she became a cocktail waitress, very, very reluctantly, but she does become a close friend of Coach, and she has the on-off relationship with Sam as well.
Sorry, it's just cutting in again. I'm going to do this. But that's a wonderfully American thing as well, having cocktail waitresses. We don't have those in pubs here, do we?
No, thing is, in America, that the idea of the bar is...
It's sort of a hybrid between a pub and a restaurant, isn't it?
Yeah, the good ones, and then you got dives, which, you know, a lot of bars in America are actually quite looked down on, because you've got things like Irish pubs as well, and then you've got, like you said, the bar and restaurant idea, and we don't really have that kind of thing, or we didn't at the time.
We have like gastro pubs these days, they're called, don't we? But even then, we don't
bar
have...
one, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Closest thing we got to Cheers is a Wetherspoons.
I'm joking.
I'm joking. Obviously, when Diane wasn't with Sam, she did bring some people to the bar, like a certain Fraser Crane, who became so popular, he got his own show that kind of was more popular than Cheers, ish.
It's
certainly on a par.
I actually think Frasier's possibly the greatest spin-off of all time.
One of them, certainly.
Yeah, because what it does so brilliantly is it doesn't follow the format. So many spin-offs do.
Yeah.
It just copies the format, but just with a bunch of characters that you don't care about, because they're not the characters you know. Well, Frasier took it in a completely different direction, with the one hook being, you know, the phenomenal Kelsey Grammer.
Well, you had Lou Grant, which was the Mary Tyler Moore spin-off, which was a really hard-hitting journalistic drama, whereas obviously Mary Tyler Moore Show wasn't that at all.
No.
So I mean, then maybe that's the idea, or maybe that's the key to a good spin-off. You make it as different from the original as possible.
Take one or two key elements to carry over the fans, and then bring the rest. I mean, I just think it'd be abysmal Joey. We're going back to Friends again. And
I didn't mind Joey. It was okay. It was fine.
The problem is Matt LeBlanc was not a lead actor. He didn't have the charisma to be able to pull it off. He was very good as comic support, but he wasn't lead material.
I don't even think that's Mark LeBlanc. I think that's just the character.
Yeah, the character's 2D. By that point, so decay of a character from what he was originally to becoming the complete dunce.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like you can't really build him back up again now.
No, I maybe Friends shouldn't have had a spin-off at all.
I was just thinking, who would you build it around? And I wouldn't say any of them because they needed each other. Well,
that's it.
Cheers is okay because Frasier was always a bit of a
outsider. Anyway.
Yeah, but he was the oddball, wasn't he? He was the one you could pull out of there, and he could have a life of his own.
Exactly. Whereas if he did one with Norm or Cliff, then maybe that's not going to happen. Speaking of Norm,
that would be Cheers.
Speaking of Norm and Cliff, you've got George Wendt, who portrays Norm Peterson. He's a bar regular. He's occasionally employed accountant, but he just doesn't like going home. So he's always at the bar. He never leaves. Anytime he enters through the front door, everyone present would yell out his name, Norm, in greeting. And then one of the present bartenders has asked Norm how he was, usually gets some sort of sarcastic response and a request for a beer. Like all good characters of that ilk, he has a wife who you never see.
Yep.
Like Captain Mainwaring and Gene Hunt, you never see the missus. And you should never, ever see the missus. I think with Mainwaring, the only thing we ever saw was a big fat ass.
The lump in the bunk bed, yes.
Yep, that's literally all we see.
Bashed his head on it one day as well.
Yes, he did, yes.
And also they did that again in Frasier with Niles' wife, Maris, didn't they?
Maris, you never saw Maris. Never want to see her. It's never going to be as good as...
Yeah, because they build them up so much. There's so much...
The picture in my head is too good.
You cannot have an actor and actress coming in and playing that role because he'll never fit.
Absolutely.
But I don't think you can combine everything that they've been described to be.
Yeah, we should talk about that later, I am sure. Norm originally not supposed to be a main cast role at all, but George Wendt sort of, with his performance, convinced him that he should be. He was supposed to be Diane's first customer and have only a one word, beer. And that was it. Interesting fact about Norm. In Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there is a character in Quark's bar called Morn.
Yes.
And he is so named because Armin Shimmerman, who played Quark, kept calling the character Norm in the parts where they weren't filming. So they said, he's Norm. We've got to call him Norm. But we can't call him Norm. Let's call him Morn. But that's who he's supposed to be. He's ever present. He doesn't say much, but he's always there. Brilliant. And then you've got John Ratzenberger plays my favourite character, Cliff Clavin.
Who wasn't a regular, was he, to begin with? He only became a regular in about series 2 and 3, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just, because John Ratzenberger is so good at what he does. He's again convinced them to keep him, but he's a know-it-all bar regular. He's a male character. He's the most boring man alive. He lives with his mother in his first family house. He later gets an apartment, but he's basically just, he sits at the bar, continuously spouts nonsensical and annoying trivia. Everybody makes fun of him. They don't hate him, but they make fun of him. But they wanted, the producers, a bar know-it-all, and they wanted someone who could be sort of like really boring and monotonous, and John Ratzenberger played it brilliantly.
And still wonderful. I mean, and the two of them, and then Frasier eventually became a sort of 3, didn't they? On that end of the bar, and that just became like this sort of panel of comedy.
Well, it's because Frasier kind of respected Cliff's knowledge.
Even though it was rubbish.
Even though it was trivia and just, it was the closest thing to an intelligent conversation Frasier felt he could have. Because people forget that Frasier wasn't very nice at the start.
No, well, Frasier came in as the enemy, because he came in as Diane's new fiancé. Yeah. So for everyone who was obviously hoping for a Sam-Diane relationship, he was like the outsider, wasn't he?
Exactly, he was the guy. And usually in a sitcom, that character disappears.
But because he's played by Kelsey Grammer, and he's just as one of the most impeccable comic timings of any actor I've seen, they just thought, you know what, he works so well with the rest of the cast, we'll just keep him around.
Yeah, exactly. It was just the chemistry was there again. You know, he worked well with the rest of the cast. He worked well with Ted Danson, and he was an all around good presence to have on the set there. So they kept Frasier around. You've also got Nicholas Colasanto. He played Coach. was borderline senile. He was a co-bartender. He was a widower. He was a retired baseball coach. He's a friend of Sam's, very close friend of Diane as well. He lasted until season 3, I think it was.
I think he got very ill about halfway through season 3, so they started writing him out, and then he died before season 4 started.
Yeah, and rather than just say he went away because they didn't think that would fit Coach's character, they said he just died. They didn't really go into it. They didn't explain it. They just said, yeah, he died, sadly.
But we got around it in very interesting ways, by the way, at the end of series 3, how to explain why he wasn't there, because it was a huge chunk of episodes. So some of them he just wasn't in, or some of them he used to take outtakes of other scenes and use those as as a teaser of the episode. So he'd be in there. You could totally tell because everyone had the wrong hairstyles compared to the rest of the episode and stuff. But it's just well, he's still there. Coach is still there behind the bar, etc., etc. So they kept it going for the whole series 3 because they hoped obviously he'd recover, and unfortunately he didn't. But then
they replaced him with Woody.
Yes.
So Woody Harrelson came in as Woody Boyd. And Woody Harrelson, complete unknown at the time as well.
Woody, and now he's up for Oscars, isn't he?
He's up for Oscars. He's Han Solo's mentor. Come on now. He did all right for himself.
Yeah, not bad.
He did okay. But Woody is the thickest man in Christendom. He's totally not so bright, naive. He rides from his Midwest hometown of Hanover, Indiana, to see Coach, who was his pen pal, because they were exchanging pens, not letters. So Sam tells Woody that Coach has sadly died, but hires Woody in Coach's place. He later marries his girlfriend, Kelly. Kelly's super rich, and she's not so bright, but she's raised in a very rich family, and is basically Woody's polar opposite, but they love each other so much. And then he runs for a political office in the final season and wins. So, says everything about...
Comment about US politics there.
Yes, exactly.
He's the definition of sweet, though, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, there's not a bad bone in Woody's body, is there? I mean, even one of my favourite episodes of Frasier is where he comes back and it just turns out they've got nothing to talk about, but he doesn't want to be nasty to him.
Yeah.
Woody wants to hang out and talk about the old days.
Absolutely nothing in common at all.
Nothing in common at all apart from that bar.
Yeah.
But he's nice, so you don't want to hurt his feelings.
But that's presumably that brings in every character, isn't it? But those characters probably wouldn't have all met each other if it hadn't been for the bar as a location. That's that bit of a melting pot that they throw all these characters into.
Absolutely. No, I would completely agree with that. Because obviously the last character there, you got Rhea Perlman, brilliant Rhea Perlman, plays Carla Tortelli, who's wisecracking, she's cynical, she's sarcastic, she's the cocktail waitress as well. She treats customers like dirt. She's also highly fertile, and useless as a mother as well. So when the series came out, she's currently the mother of 4 children by her ex-husband, Nick Tortelli, played by Dan Hedaya, who I love. He's great. She then bears 4 more as well. But that's because she had 4 real-life pregnancies.
So, but it sort of fits, though. Obviously she's Danny DeVito's wife, isn't she?
She was. I don't think they're together anymore.
No, but at that point, I think they were together.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. So yeah, well, it sort of worked for the character, didn't it? It's like, oh, you're pregnant again, yeah? Never mind. Carl was pregnant.
Yeah.
We didn't need to work around it in any way, shape or form.
No, Carla's pregnant again.
All right, when Sherry Wong got pregnant and that threw everyone off. Was it Sherry? I think it was Sherry Wong. It wasn't Kirstie Alley, it was Sherry Wong. But got pregnant. It's like, Diane wanted to got pregnant. This is completely thrown everything off. So I think they ended up filming her behind the bar for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they do that sometimes, because I remember when Kaylee Cuoco, when she broke her leg, they put her behind the bar at the Cheesecake Factory for about a season or so. And then obviously, Lisa Kudrow, when she got pregnant, they worked in that she was having her brother's babies.
Yeah.
It sounds weirder than it actually was, but anyway.
But there's some weirdness about that as well, just go off on a tangent, because at certain points she wasn't as far gone, or she was more far gone. I can't remember the exact one, than what she would have been. So they had to either pad her out or sort of strap her in than what she was actually doing in reality. So that was weird.
Yeah, the wonderful world of filming blocks.
Indeed.
But yeah, she's highly superstitious, is Carla, because although the bar was opened in 1889, she made up the date 1895. So it says Cheers established 1895. Carla made that date up because numerologically it's a good date to have. So yeah, complete lie.
Yeah.
She eventually gets married to Eddie LeBecca, who's an ice hockey player, because of course he is. But he dies in an ice short accident by an ice resurfacer, Zamboni. She discovers that he committed bigamy anyway, whom he again got pregnant. So yeah, she's very unlucky with the men, is Carla.
That also sounds like the actor being fired, doesn't it? It really wrote him off badly there.
Yeah, that's Joey Tribbiani, isn't it? Oh yeah, I mean, I make
about all my own scripts, yeah. Suddenly he's writing his own script, he plummets to his death in a lift.
Exactly. As we said, we've got Kelsey Grammer plays Fraser Crane, who is not a very nice man when he starts out, but he becomes nicer as he goes along. He becomes more human. Basically, he starts off as Niles, almost, which is weird because obviously Niles starts off as Niles and then becomes the most popular character in Frasier.
But that was the great thing about Frasier. Is originally the idea of that was that Niles would be like the polar opposite of Frasier, so he'd be more like Martin in a way. Yeah, which made no sense really. It's much better to have him as the untainted brother Frasier was obviously, like you say, he's warmed over time by spending so much time in Cheers around other people, working class people, etc. And getting, becoming more personable. Niles is still in his little cocoon, isn't he? His little excessively high class relationship with Maris, and it's good to see Frasier thrown back into that and being the normal one. Considering we've seen him for 8 years of Cheers being the snobby one, and it's just sort of tipped it on his head a little bit.
Well, I mean, he has his moments in Frasier.
Oh yeah, of course. He's not at Martin's level, so he's sort of like in sort of mid place, which for a lead is probably what you want, isn't it? It's sort of like it's sort of in between
you want him a bit.
Opposites.
Yeah, you want him a bit flawed, don't you? At the end of the day. But yeah, Frasier becomes a great character. He eventually gets together with Lilith, played by Bebe Neuwirth, who I love Lilith.
I love her.
She's great.
I mean, I hate her, but I love how she's played.
Well, again, Lilith grew in Frasier. I mean, she's an ice queen all through Cheers. She's not a very nice person
she is
at all.
A stone cold bitch, completely. No one likes her because she is still the stuffy one. She a little bit tries to get friendly with Rebecca, wasn't it?
Yeah, because she was on her level, but everyone else was totally beneath her, which is weird because in Frasier, that kind of, I think when she has Frederick and Frederick gets older, that attitude kind of goes away a bit. She still
comes up with rapid fire cutting one-liners, but it's less of a snobbishness.
And Niles will never like her.
No.
But Martin certainly doesn't like her. But there you go. But Lilith was great. She's a brilliant character. And then, of course, we get Kirstie Alley portraying Rebecca. And she starts off as a strong, independent woman. She manages the bar for the corporation that bought Sam out. Because Diane jilted Sam, so Sam came back and got a job as a bartender. But when he gains ownership again, she begs him to let her remain as business manager, so he does. She's got many romantic failures with mainly rich men, becomes more neurotic, insecure, sexually frustrated. At the start, when Rebecca comes in, Sam does frequently try and seduce Rebecca, as he did with Diane. But as her personality changes, as she becomes more neurotic and insecure, he kind of doesn't. Again, I mean, I suspect greatly that the chemistry wasn't there and the writers
thought this isn't going to work. Or we're thinking if it did, it'd be too much of a retread of what we've done before. So let's move it away from that now.
Exactly. Let's not do it at all. So eventually she married a plumber, played by Tom Berenger, of all people, and quit working for the bar.
So a long time with Robin Colcord, wasn't it? Who was it? Yeah. He owned the chain, wasn't it? That Cheers was a part of.
That's
I think.
It. Yeah. So yeah, she again was mirroring Kirstie Alley's own life. Was strong and independent, and then became neurotic and a bit weird. Just like Kirstie Alley.
She was a pretty big name to come into it though, because obviously she'd come out from doing Star Trek, obviously, and Look Who's Talking was before she came into Cheers, wasn't it? So she was presumably a relatively big name when she took over the role.
Yeah, she was a pretty big name.
Did she have joint credits at the beginning with Ted Danson? Because Shelley Wong did.
Yes.
She? I think Kirstie Alley did as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
They shared the opening credit between them.
That's it. Yeah, but I think as time goes by, she is proof positive.
She sort of swatted below Sam again. Well, Sam and Diane were always joint leads. She sort of slipped down the pecking order a bit in time.
I think it's because people just didn't warm to Rebecca. They didn't like her character. They didn't like the fact that she wasn't Shelley Long, basically.
Yeah.
And with that, her star in Hollywood actually sort of went down as well. And Kirstie Alley is proof positive that just because you're a Scientologist don't mean to say you're going to have a successful career, because it kind of didn't work. But there you go.
It's despite in that sort of phrase somewhere, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, I never really liked her, and I never really liked Rebecca.
I didn't mind. I think she had her moments. In various episodes. I mean, I have to admit, I prefer the first 5 series to the last 6.
Yeah.
But as most long-running shows do, we have a bit of a wobble, don't we? At a point, Friends did, Frasier certainly did, where it's like we don't know what to do. But then it pulls itself back in the last couple of seasons again. It's like, this is how we started. This is what we did well. Let's do it again. And I think the final season of Cheers is one of the best ones for about that second block, because it is 2 eras, isn't it? It's the first 5 and then the second 6. I mean, very different. Even though the building blocks are the same.
I think that's what you've got to do with the show. It's like, it's got to grow. It's got to, because any successful sitcom that's lasted for a long time has been like that. An example would be MASH. MASH started out as very much traditional sitcom, just set in the Korean War. And then, because they even said, you've got 2 eras of that. You've got that era, and then you've got the Alan Alda era, where he got more power, and you started to get more poignant stuff coming in, a lot of anti-war.
When Trapper came out of it, is when it sort of shifted, wasn't it?
It's when BJ turns up, basically. And that's when Alan Alda has a bit more power and he starts influencing the show a lot more than he had done. And that's, like I say, you get more Vietnam War allegories than you do Korean War. And you can see, if you read between the lines, it's easy to see.
Yeah.
And it's just, so that changed. You've got Friends changed. It was about a group of 20-somethings with no direction in life. It ended up they were all paired off or with people and married, apart from Joey, or with children and families. And that's...
Mirror's life, doesn't it?
Yeah, and same with Big Bang Theory. You've got, at the start, they're just a collection of nerds with, no relationships to speak of and that. And now they've all, mainly, even Sheldon, in relationships, and the characters have grown. And like I say, that's what any good sitcom... It
has to evolve. It has
to because people evolve.
The same. Exactly.
People change,
Yeah.
I think the only time that didn't happen really was Raymond, because they were all supposed to. Well, Seinfeld as well, but that was the whole thing about Seinfeld.
The whole point of Seinfeld was these characters will never grow. They will never change.
They're awful people.
They're terrible people. Yeah, and
that's
all
why
they're
they
going to do
end up in jail.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we can do is put them all in jail for the rest of their life because they're awful, awful people. A good example of this is where George's fiancée dies and none of them care, including George. Which is my favourite episode ever of Seinfeld. But there you go. But yeah, like I say, in Cheers, they did evolve and the characters did move from situation to situation. As you said, most of the action, nearly all the action took place in the front room of the bar. The main theme in its early seasons, as you said, was the romance between Diane and Sam. And then when she left the show, the focus shifted to the new relationship with Rebecca, which basically didn't go anywhere. A lot of Cheers scripts did centre, or they did touch on a variety of social issues. Humorously, obviously, it's a comedy, at the end of the day. It's not Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with the very special episodes, which I can't watch that one. Why did he want me, man? But yeah, the writers felt quite bold in successfully tackling controversial issues, so things like alcoholism, homosexuality, adultery.
Yeah.
You had the whole thing about social class, so you've got people like Diane, Frasier, Lilith. They rubbed shoulders with middle and working class characters, so Sam, Carl, and Norm, that kind of thing. And it was the fact that Cheers as a bar was a leveller. And again, we've already said it, but it was shown in Frasier that once you take that away, they've got nothing in common.
Yeah. You know, it's a very interesting theory about the bar and what it does to people as well. I learned about this relatively recently, and it's made me think, is that the bar, in some ways, corrupts everyone who goes into it in a very strange sense, in that you can't move on with your life too much until you end up moving away from the bar. It sounds weird, but it's like Frasier's life went in a downward spiral pretty much when he first entered Cheers, when he was a successful psychiatrist, to being, at certain points, he was unemployed, wasn't he? And unemployable at times. He was an alcoholic for huge chunks of Cheers. And then obviously he put his life back together and went over to Seattle, and hence Frasier happened, and he had a very successful life over there. And various other characters, like Diane apparently did really well when she came back into Frasier. She did pretty well. I mean, she was still the throes of writing her first book, which she'd been doing forever. But and various other characters did well when they sort of pulled away from Cheers itself, like Woody. As we say, into politics, and obviously getting with his with Kelly. Sorry, and various other characters. And the ones who didn't change were the ones that were still stuck at the bar. So Norm. Cliff, Carla. And their lives still remained as tedious and as depressing as ever, which doesn't sound particularly ripe for comedy, but it was.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because sometimes, it is based on conflict, is comedy a lot of the time. So you've got to have those characters who basically conflict isn't there for them. Like Norm is quite happy to stay in the bar because anything is preferable than going home.
Yes.
And you never really found out much about his home life, apart from the fact that he just wasn't happy with it.
The dreaded fever.
Exactly.
She was actually really nice.
Oh yeah, he's an asshole. That's all it is. It's just that Norm's an asshole. Yeah. It's just she probably asked him to put out the bins, and that's the worst thing in the world.
It's like, no, I'll go to the bar and drown my sorrows instead.
Yeah, because he's just a lazy asshole who doesn't want to do it. I'm convinced that that's the reason. Then he got Cliff, who just didn't want to be. He was lonely at the end of the day.
Cliff was a fantasist, wasn't he? I mean, he had his job as a postman, as a mailman for our American cousins, and obviously he's very proud of that. But like I said, he didn't have much of a life beyond that, did he? No,
it's very Walter Mitty.
It was. His life was revolving around being a postman and then going home to Mummy, who cooked his tea for him and basically tucked him into bed and kissed him goodnight.
He's a perpetual teenager.
Yeah, so he went to the bar to live out his fantasies, I suppose, in a way, didn't he? To come across as a know-it-all, man of the world, who, in his own eyes, was furnishing people with knowledge and wondrous stories of things, and everyone else knew him as a complete bullshitter. But he seemed happy, even though it was an interesting existence.
Again, I think he was just lonely.
Yeah,
mainly with Cliff.
He enjoyed it, didn't he? And he enjoyed having Norm as his sort of compatriot. I think Norm was just the only one who's Frasier as well, and to some extent Sam, who'd went sort of an ear, and Woody, who just believed everything he said because, as we said before, Woody's so naive. It's just he just would listen to the.
Well, he looked up to Cliff, didn't he? He looked up to Cliff. He called him Mr. Clavin and everything, and he called him Mr. Peterson and everything. And I think that's why Norm likes.
Yeah, that's a sort of a down home farm boy there, isn't it? It's like...
Well, he's your all-American football player, isn't he? He's, drink your milk, say your prayers, and, like I say, the nicest man in the world. And I'm glad that when they brought him back in Frasier, he hadn't changed.
No, because that would have been wrong to the character. He should still be the sweet, naive guy, even in the murky world of politics.
Well, what I liked most of all is that, obviously, Woody Harrelson by then had played sort of lots of nefarious characters in Hollywood, but he came back and he was just like, it was Woody. It was just... It was really weird to see because it wasn't Woody Harrelson anymore. It was just Woody off Cheers.
Yeah.
It was great. He didn't need to do that. He wanted to do it, which is great.
I think everyone from Cheers has sort of appeared on Frasier at one point. I know Sam did, and Diane did, and I think Rebecca didn't, but everyone else I think has turned up.
Yeah, because I think obviously they've got a lot of affection for those characters, and the American people have a lot of affection for those characters. But yeah, they did deal with some quite deep issues, homosexuality. On the first season episode, Boys in the Bar, friend and former teammate of Sam's comes out And a lot of people in the bar want Sam to ban gay people from the bar because they have a problem with it. And they escort out what they think is a group of gay people. It turns out, no, they're still here, the gay people. The gay men are still in the bar. So, number one, you can't tell who gay people are because they're just people.
Yeah.
And number two, didn't have a problem with them, did you?
Yeah.
So it's very clever.
The only downside of that was it made Norm, Quiff, etc. quite complete jerks for a bit, and it took me a while to get over that, in all honesty. That means we should care about him. He acted like a dick to people, so maybe that's the 21st century sensibilities coming out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, we're judging them with eyes.
Yeah.
You know, with more informed eyes, as it were. And in back then, I mean, the stuff
like I said, it was groundbreaking in 1982, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they learned a lesson from it, and then they didn't show those attitudes again.
Yeah.
It was, you see the similar sort of stuff in things like Early Only Fools and Horses when they go to the bar and it turns out the girls that Roddy's been chatting up are a couple of transvestites. And there's some very uninformed, sort of horrific to our 21st century ears comments going through there, but later on in the series, you'll find that Del Boy and Rodney kind of don't care because they've grown as characters and people, and that's what people do.
Yeah.
Hopefully, but again, it was a good thing that they tackled it, especially in 1983. That's quite a big thing.
Yeah.
And they were actually, it won a GLAAD
American
Media
Network
Award.
television as well.
Absolutely. It did win a GLAAD Media Award. And it was nominated for a Primetime Emmy as well. The other thing that's always brought up in Cheers as well is addiction. Now you've got Sam, who's a recovering alcoholic, who bought a bar during his drinking days. As you said, Frasier had a notable part with drinking in the 4th season episode The Triangle, and Woody develops a gambling problem in 7th season Call Me Irresponsible. So it does, for a comedy, deal with some issues, and not in the different strokes, Fresh Prince kind of way.
Yeah.
Well, tonight's a very special episode.
No. At times it does lapse to that horrible word which is dramedy. But it's not always laugh a minute. Sometimes, like I say, it just deals. I mean, there's stuff in like particularly the series 2 finale where Sam and Diane have a very vicious breakup, and it's a vicious breakup, but it's where the laughs just stop, and it's 10 minutes of bile almost.
Yeah, I mean, some people say
it's earned at that point.
Or it's more pathos than dramedy.
It's earned at that point. I mean, like I said, the closest alternative over here in Britain is probably Only Fools and Horses, which did it very well as well. And
on loads of occasions,
it earns the drama because you love the characters, you love the comedy. So when it flips a switch and it becomes more dramatic for a stretch, you're still with it and you care.
Absolutely. I mean, again, as you say, Only Fools and Horses, and we'll talk about that another time, I'm sure. But that did it on a number of occasions, like when Grandad died, when Cassandra lost the baby. Lots of times they did that, and they did it in Friends as well when Ross and Rachel's broke up.
Yeah,
they did the whole episode.
It's not easy. I mean, it can become cloying, as you've said. It can become very much like on today's special episode, we're talking about blah.
I think it's different if you're talking about a character, or you're talking about a character going through something, as opposed to bringing up an issue. So when you've got, like you say, Sam and Diane, we got Ross and Rachel breaking up, you're invested enough in the characters by that point that it means something that this situation's happening.
It's a scriptwriter's adage. You start writing based on a plot or based on characters. If you start writing based on theme, then you've got a problem, because everything, when you're not writing the characters, you're writing about something, and you can very easily get on a little soapbox and forget what you're writing and just rant.
Exactly, which is why Fresh Prince did it so well on a number of occasions. They did that thing about absent fathers. They did that thing where Will got shot because of Carolyn. That kind of thing. And because you're bringing something to someone's attention, you can do it through character. You can
earn
it quite well.
Just earn.
Yeah. Because you care about the characters.
Because
you
it
care
links
what
to the
they're
characters,
going through.
yeah.
And
but
when you've got some... Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, well, if you just introduce it with no background, or it just seems like you're just coming at it because today we're going to be tackling religion, kids.
Yeah, which is why I get the feeling that Cheers and Friends are more fondly remembered at this point than something like Family Ties, which I don't really see much nostalgia over. these days. Different Strokes would be another example.
Young Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, exactly. All in the Family, that kind of thing. But then if you've got a show that lasts 11 seasons, then you must be doing something right.
Exactly. And the great thing as well is that a lot of the, obviously you took out everyone in front of the camera, but the people behind the camera as well. I mean, it was the Charles brothers. I don't know if they wrote anything else after that, but the other creator as well was James Burrows, who, if you know American sitcoms, he is all over them like a rash. That sort of 80s and 90s bubble of US sitcoms, he directed all of them, I think.
I mean, exactly.
Or episodes of, obviously. He didn't direct everything, because...
Obviously, the Charleses, they did things like they wrote for MASH, Mary Tyler Moore, Taxi, Cheers, Frasier, and they wrote the screenplay for Pushing Tin as well.
Did they create Frasier as well? I know they created Cheers, but I thought after Cheers it sort of disappeared a little bit.
They're the creators of Frasier Crane.
Yeah. So they get the sort of the rights in that, but I don't think they actually did any work on Frasier, did they?
David Angel, Peter Casey, and David Lee did that, but they created Frasier himself.
Yeah. Hence KACL, Angel, Casey, and Lee, and K is just what radio stations that begin with a K in America for some reason, best known to them. So yeah.
But so I mean that's. Sorry, go on.
And I said James Burrows appeared. I think he did a few things before, but it was Cheers because he was like a front runner of Cheers. He directed a lot of episodes of that, and then he went on and directed. I mean, you could probably name an American sitcom from the 80s and 90s, and he would have directed at least the pilot of it. I mean, Frasier, Friends, probably Raymond as well.
Third Rock,
yeah.
Dharma and Greg, Caroline in the City, Will and Grace. In the 2000s, have got 2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory, Hank. 2010, so Mike and Molly, Shit My Dad Says, Two Broke Girls, The Millers. So yeah, he's prolific.
He's basically the king. If you want someone to come in and get a sitcom running, he's usually the guy to turn to, isn't he? And it's a pretty good track record, in all honesty, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, he may have started before, but that's where it really catapulted him to big time, because it was his name at the front of every single episode. Speaking of the front of the episode as well, Glenn, the theme song.
Well, yeah, the theme song is, most people will just hear the first bit. If you listen to the whole theme song, which will be at the end of this, it's definitely from the early 80s. There are questionable things.
Quite questionable. Very, very dark. Very dark. Yeah. Very, very weird. I mean, I've listened to it in full, and yeah, it doesn't go the direction you thought it was going in. Put it that way. You can see where they chopped bits out for the title sequence.
Yeah, basically, it's saying, if your life's shit, go drink.
Mm. But you can see why they used it for the show. I mean, at least in the show, it's where everybody knows your name. It might just work so perfectly for Cheers itself, isn't it? Because
it's got that whole bit in Friends, isn't it, where Joey's in London and he's, I'm not homesick at all. I love it here. I'll be here for the rest of my life. And then the theme from Cheers comes on the telly and he starts crying. So I'm homesick. I just want to go home.
Yeah. It's like
I want to go where everybody knows my name.
Knows my name, yeah. It's basically a song to Norm as well, isn't it?
Basically, yeah. But if you actually listen to the actual full song, then as you say, it's not really about that at all. It's about, if everything's going shit in your life, go and drink. Especially if your husband wants to be a girl. It's like, oh dear. Oh, we're going into that.
That's probably the most difficult one. I also really think it would dark one is it pins a cat up by its tail, which is horrible. I think it's a kid.
That's kids. That's a kid does that. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Nice. What is good though is the actual title sequence itself as well. I love that title sequence. I mean, I'm a bit of an aficionado of title sequences anyway. I think they're a dying breed, and I love them.
Oh, they are.
I want them to come back. I mean, I'm quite pleased that Game of Thrones has tried to bring it back as well, because it does it so well. Because it was a spate in the mid-2000s where they were just very out of favour, weren't they, title sequences? And you said
absolutely.
A 2-second and then on with the show. I was like, no.
Yeah. Show's on now. That's it.
But Cheers did it so well.
Or they used to do the thing that they did with Friends, they did it with Scrubs as well, where they'd have a full title sequence for a few seasons, and then they'd just shorten it.
Except for season openers and finales, or like two parties and stuff, where they go with a full one as well.
But other than that, no, you're not getting it. I think the only ones that sort of have had long title sequences recently was CSI. They always used to.
And Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, obviously. But yeah, it's coming back. Frasier never had a long one.
No, I always had a little tickly, didn't it? Yes.
Yeah, with the Space Needle.
With a little hand drawing and Kelsey Grammer singing nonsense.
Well, that was the end, wasn't it?
That was the end credits, yeah, the tossed salads and scrambled eggs bit, yeah.
Good night, Seattle, we love you!
I have no idea what he was singing. It's just utter rubbish, but... Yeah.
Well, it's nonsense, it was nonsense, but scrambled eggs all over my face.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Cheers did have a great title sequence of all the bar through the ages.
It's that moment where it fades from being Cheers in 1980 whatever to Cheers in 1880 whatever, isn't it? It's like this is it, and the brilliance of when it matches up the cast members' names with the character, but it's the character from a century before. So it's like these characters are always gonna be in the bar.
Exactly, it's just stereotypes, aren't they? Yeah.
And that's basically what you get in any bar, which is, again, what makes Cheers as good as it is that you get those characters. In any pub you walk into, you will find a norm. I'm pretty certain you walk into any sort of, not really like chain pubs, but I suppose in those you get them as well, but more like your sort of boozer pubs, as we call them. Yeah, you're local. You walk in, you will find a guy who's marinating in his chair and has been there since time immemorial. You'll find a Quiff who spouts nonsense and ruins a pub quiz for everybody. You'll find your Frasier. You'll find a Sam. Those guys are ubiquitous, aren't they?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that helps. I mean, that makes it work, doesn't it? It's like, I recognise those guys, and it's familiarity, and then. That's his starting point, and obviously with everything else, it builds up, doesn't it?
Exactly that. But yes, title sequence absolutely brilliant. Like we said, we should mention Frasier, and before I mention Frasier or anything, we are going to sort of pay our respects to John Mahoney, who brilliantly played Marty Crane throughout the whole series. I'm not going to dwell too much on the fact that he was British born, because he wasn't British, he was American.
I thought he appeared on My Local News, which is very strange, as he was born in Blackpool.
He was, yes.
Well, yeah, he was
moved away when he was
American dad, wasn't he?
He was the dad, basically. You know, he liked his beer, he liked his football and his sports. He just wanted a quiet life by that point, because he'd been injured in the line of duty as a cop. So he had a bit of a gammy hip.
He had two sons he had nothing in common with.
Nothing at all in common. But he loved them anyway, because he had nothing. They kind of made it throughout the whole series as like, or Frasier and Niles would sometimes suggest that he had nothing, that they can't understand why he was with their mum because they had nothing in common. And it turns out she was more like Marty than they ever thought that he was. There's a great bit, and it's one of the brilliant bits, where they go to the bar. Or the restaurant in the bar. I think it's with Cherries there as well, and all they do is run down the restaurant and say
yes,
the little class it is, and
it's a very early episode as well, that I think.
Yeah, and he basically says to them, look, you can be as hoity-toity as you like, but your mum loved places like this. Yes, she liked the finer things in life. She understood opera and ballet, which I didn't, but she also liked going to the ball game and having a hot dog. So maybe you could be a bit more like your mum.
Yeah, completely undercut them. And John Mahoney was, without a doubt, excellent every time he sat in that battered old chair in Frasier. And yeah, it's a real shame he's passed away.
It is a real shame, but it's cancer again. But
he was knocking on. He was
77, and he'd had cancer like 4 times or something. So he'd had a lot of cancer in his life.
Very impressive.
So he was a survivor.
Yeah.
But I did put on Twitter and Facebook one of my favourite bits of him, and it's the bit with the bubble wrap where he's telling Niles about the bubble wrap, and Eddie poppity pop pop pop, and every time he comes back and he goes poppity pop pop pop, and it's amazing how something so simple can keep something amused. It's just a look Niles gives him. It's like, I know.
Yes.
And it was just brilliant, because he got brilliant funny moments like that, and you got such pathos as well with And the fact that he did love his sons, even though he didn't quite always understand them. And he wouldn't take any shit off them. That's the other thing I liked as well. As hoity-toity and as learned as they are, he's still their dad.
Yeah, he could just cut them out from under the feet, couldn't he? Very easily indeed. Brilliantly played character. Everyone talks about Frasier and Niles, but Marty was as crucial to that show as they were.
I think everybody knows that, honestly. I think Frasier is one of those shows where every character is as crucial as the next.
I always thought he was underappreciated, and then when obviously John Mahoney died, there was this great outpouring of grief. I was like, people did care. He was
like America's dad.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get a dad figure right, and there's certain actors have been able to nail it. Now, you've got John Mahoney, he was really good. You've got Kurtwood Smith, who was brilliant as Red in that 70s show.
Yeah.
A great dad character. And you've got, obviously, Murray Goldberg in the Goldbergs as well. Again, it's hard to get that character right. Because you've got to be an asshole sometimes, yet you've also got to be a loving father character. And it's not always easy to get the balance, and like John Mahoney got it perfectly. And he was such a good actor, and Kelsey Grammer put up a lovely tribute to him on Twitter, and he said, he was my dad and I loved him.
Yeah. That was wonderful.
A lot of people did get the feels of that one. But, completely deserved. Yeah, he was just a great actor, and like I say, he was the glue. If it hadn't been for him, I don't think the show would have worked as well.
Well, Frasier started off not being Frasier versus Niles sort of thing. It was Frasier versus Martin, and Niles is like the funny support.
And that fucking chair.
Yes. And then it's testament to the brilliance of David Hyde Pierce that Niles became such an integral part of the show as well. But it was originally it was always about father and son.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Frasier not getting along with his dad, who he felt had been thrust upon him. And by the end, it was like, I'm going. I think there was an episode where he said, I'm going.
Yeah, he moved in with his new wife, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he said, I don't want you to go. So that was a great show. And like we said, because it was so different to Cheers, is probably the reason why it worked so well. And it's one of those things that, Friends might have all the plaudits. Or, people might remember Friends better, but Frasier was the one that won all the awards.
Well,
and it was always that way.
Yeah. Well, for me, Frasier is the pinnacle of American comedy. I think that is the absolute best American sitcom, I'd say. With a potential exception of Seinfeld.
I was going to say, yeah, you're missing out.
Well, they're two very different shows, though. I think they're a more traditional-esque show. And I think Frasier, in many ways, is almost British in its sensibilities.
It definitely, it definitely
had
a British
elements to it.
I think one of the cleverest and best things they did was bring British actors, or have actors who were supposed to be British, and have them have ridiculous British accents, in the knowledge that we would say that's a ridiculous British accent. Because they did it with Robbie Coltrane, who was one of Daphne's brothers.
Obviously, Jane Leaves.
They did. Well, Jane Leaves, actually, they did say, because she's
not
actually
her
from...
accent, though, is it?
Oh, no, she's from London. She's very posh. But they said, she basically had John Mahoney's accent. The accent he should have had. But every one of her brothers came in.
And there's Richard E. Grant, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it was
Anthony Rapaglia, I think. He obviously wasn't British, but he had a very poor imitation of a British accent that he managed.
I am convinced. So. Absolutely on purpose. Totally, absolutely on purpose.
You can't get an actor as great as say, Robbie Coltrane doing a terrible accent.
Well, they all had different accents from different regions.
Yeah,
than Daphne.
Yeah.
Even though they all grew up together, they all had, and they did that, I'm sure, to sort of say to England, yeah, we know what we're doing. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Frasier was great. Cheers was great. Two really, really good shows from the same stable that, and to pick a character like Frasier and run with that character rather than say Sam or Woody, I don't think Woody or Sam would have had the longevity that Frasier did.
It was exactly the right decision as well, because Frasier is untapped potential in some ways. I mean, like we say, he was thrown him as an antagonist. I think the original plan was for him to be written out after a few episodes of series 3 and obviously continue on with the Sam Diane stuff.
Yeah.
But then he just hung around and he became a regular, but you still didn't learn too much about him, apart from him being like the sort of posh guy at the bar. I mean, obviously he got into the whole thing with Lilith and that sort of took over, but you still didn't know much about the man.
No.
Or where he came from.
Which kind of helped.
Well, yeah, because he could invent a father, invent a brother. Give him the potential to up sticks, move somewhere else, and have a whole new world to play in. Well, he couldn't do that with any of the other characters because I mean, you could take Woody out of it, but it would just be. That would be very similar to Joey in many ways, I think, because as great an actor as Woody Harrelson is with a part, he wanted to be able to flex his muscles there, would he? Really?
Yeah, there's not enough of the character.
No. I mean, we like him as a support, but he wouldn't have been able to support a whole show. Sam is tied to Cheers. He would never have left Cheers. That was just a point, and very much the same with Norm and Cliff. I mean, could you imagine a show about Norm that doesn't take place in Cheers? Is that actually possible?
No, I don't think that would have worked. But never mind.
There were potentials though. They were considering all sorts of characters, weren't they? Yeah, definitely Woody. And I think Sam and I think Carl and the Tortellis, because they did have a spin-off. Nick Tortelli and his family had a mini spin-off that barely lasted.
Yeah, I just don't think they.
I mean, because it wasn't. I have to admit, I think Carl was the character I really got on with the least of the regular cast.
I like Carla just fine, but I just don't think there's. I don't think there's enough there to spin anything off. Whereas, as you say, with Frasier, there was a lot of untapped potential. Whereas the other characters, there sort of wasn't much to work with. What we saw is what we got, and that's fine. But like I say, I mean, they totally made the right decision. They went with the right character, and you know, we're all better for it. Brilliant stuff. There we go. So that is Cheers. Any final words on Cheers?
Yeah. I have to say, I do think that the finale, appropriately enough, as we're closing off this episode, the finale of Cheers as well is one of the great finales of all time. And the brilliant thing about it is it ends in exactly the way it starts, with Sam alone in the bar, just casually turning all the lights off, going to the bar, just as someone comes up, and then he says, sorry, we're closed. And that's that. And it's brilliant.
Thankfully not as harrowing as the MASH finale.
No. Oh, well, that is a classic finale as well.
Somebody shut that damn chicken up.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant bookend for the show, because the very first episode it started with Sam opening up the bar.
Exactly.
So it seems very fitting that he ended with him closing the bar. And it just, after everything that had happened, and all the other characters and all the other storylines, and how much it had spread out from what it originally was, like we say, bringing all the other characters in all the various locations. Because like we said, although it began just in the bar, it ended with, I think, every character's flat, house had been seen multiple times. They've been on holiday and all sorts of places. But for the finale, they closed it back down and it ended just with Sam on his own, closing down the bar. And it just feels, that's how you end a show. That is how you end a show. And that, for me, is perfect. Possibly the best sitcom finale ever, with the exception of Frasier's.
Yes. Or Peep Show. Peep Show's pretty good.
Peep Show's finale was pretty good.
That's impressive. But it's the only way he could have finished.
Yeah, I'm glad actually of Peep Show's last season, because I thought they'd been treading water for several seasons before that last one. Remember the last one we pulled out all the stops again? It's like,
these are horrible people who need not to be with anybody.
Exactly. They've got each other and they all just hug each other forever.
Their own personal hell. Yeah. But there you go. Brilliant stuff. Well, that is Cheers. That was Cheers. I hope you all enjoyed that, guys, in Back to the 80s land. Pete, thank you for being on and bringing us to the world of Cheers.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I promise I'll stop saying cheers. Is there anything you'd like to promote or talk about, that of your own on the podcast at all?
Yes. Smorgasbored itself.
Never heard of it.
No. Yeah, you have no idea what it is, Gwen, do you?
No.
At the moment, we're in a bit of a fallow period, just because we're working on doing the exact opposite and coming out with a lot more. But we're going to be launching our site very shortly, and there's going to be a host of shows there. The flagship show, which, Gwen, you're very familiar with, which is based around weird news and various silly games thereof, as well as annoyances and moans and challenges, all done in our inimitable style. That's our bread and butter. We also have for time travelers, so if there's any Doctor Who fans out there, which I'm sure there is, thanks to Gwen's Nerva Beacon as well. It's a show where we have started with an unearthly child, and me and my crew have been watching every single story, and coming out very shortly with the end of series 1, we're doing the Reign of Terror, and then crashing into series 2 of the original. And we do a watch along and a bit of comments about it. It's light-hearted silliness. That's also enjoying the show.
Unearthly Child's a bit of a slog.
Yeah.
100,000 BC is a bit of a slog.
Unearthly Child is fantastic. 100,000 BC is although
it's not terrible, it's just boring.
No, and then we get to the Sensorites.
I don't mind it.
Oh,
I really don't mind it.
Profoundly boring. But we're into series 2 now, and that's going well.
Good.
Let's not mention the web planet. my fellow crew members have not seen Who before, so they don't know the horrors within. But yeah, we've got that as well, and we've got a couple of other things. We did a new game section that's going to be a big thing that's going to be launching as well, so you can get on board with that from it off. It's Smorgasbored, Smorgasbored, and we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Acast, and you can find us on Twitter at SmorgasbordPod.
There we are. So you can find them all over the shop, basically.
Indeed.
Excellent stuff. If you want to find me, you can find me at Cymru Nerd Cave on Twitter. That's at Cymru, as in the place, as in, Wales. And then Nerd Cave. You can find me, Glenn Jakeman, on Facebook. Please do send me a message before you do. Try and add me, and then I know who you are and where I know you're from. Otherwise, I won't be adding you. Sorry about that. You can also find us, as in the podcast, at BTTE Pod on Twitter, and facebook.com/BTTE pod on Facebook there. Every night we're putting up a TV show, a thing, some sort of thing from the 80s, and a song, usually themed this time around. So this week the theme is comedy shows, and the theme is comic book covers from the 80s, usually quite esoteric and weird ones that you don't normally see. So that's kind of good. And, for the next 3 days, should I say, it's Rick Mail, the comedies that we're showing. So, we've just shown Private Plane. We will be showing The New Statesman and The Young Ones on there as well. But yeah, themed every week. If you want to find us elsewhere as well, we do have a blog. It's back to the 80s podcast.blogspot.co.uk. Excellent stuff. Pete, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thank you.
Redressing the balance of me coming on your podcast and you not coming on here.
Exactly. I'm going to start having to come on more often and annoy you on here as well. So
yeah, anytime you want to come on, I'm happy to have you on, my friend. Mm-hmm. Excellent stuff. We shall leave you this week with the theme from Cheers, because why wouldn't we? We've also got a close down from BBC One in 1989. It's on the 20th of May. Did try to find one from this week, and there aren't any decent ones on there, so never mind. It's what people video recorded, isn't it? At the end of the day. And they kindly put on Twitter, not on Twitter, on YouTube, I mean. But there you go. Excellent stuff. Pete, say bye-bye to all the people.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening. Should I say cheers again one final time?
Sure.
Let's say it. Cheers for listening.
Thanks for everything, guys. One and all of our listeners, thank you for listening as always, and we shall speak to you again next week. Remember, Nerva Beacon comes out on Wednesday, so please do listen to that. It's all about the Third Doctor. Bye-bye for now.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the cat up by its tail, and your third fiancé didn't show. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead. The morning's looking bright. And your shrink ran off to Europe and didn't even write. And your husband wants to be a girl. Be glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Next Saturday's late film stars Maurice Micklewhite, better known as Michael Caine, in the classic 60s comedy Alfie, the tale of a happy-go-lucky Cockney playboy who pulls the birds like it's gone out of fashion until he discovers what it's all about. Alfie, next Saturday, 10:35. And just a reminder here that, except for viewers in Northern Ireland, tomorrow afternoon's film at 3 o'clock on BBC One is the Oscar-winning To Kill a Mockingbird. It stars Gregory Peck as a lawyer in the American Deep South facing the extremes of racial discrimination when he takes up the defense of a black man accused of rape. And now a look at tomorrow's weather. Most places will remain dry with a fair amount of sunshine. However, there are a few exceptions. Eastern areas will have fog patches and low cloud at first. They're expected to clear away inland, but persist for a time in some coastal districts. Although most places will remain dry, there is a risk of isolated heavy showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the west and southwest, and also in other parts of southern England and the Midlands later. It'll be generally very warm, but will stay cool near the east coast. So it's more of the sunshades and Jason Donovan shorts for Sunday. Well, the time is now coming up to 21 minutes past 1, and we're about to evaporate. If you're still fizzing, however, Patrick Lunt is currently presenting Night Ride over on Radio 2, and the old rocker himself, Alan Freeman, is playing Rock Sounds on Radio 1. But we're cutting out of the picture now, so from all the team on BBC One tonight, and me, Cathy Stewart, a very peaceful night to you. Good night.